The Doctor and Ruby meets the Beatles but discover that the all-powerful Maestro is changing history. London becomes a battleground with the future of humanity at stake. Welcome, friends and companions. Here we are go again because a few minutes ago I did a live stream about the space babies, and now we will do the Devil's Chord. But before we begin this story, we do, as usual, the commercials. Sci-Fi and fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about the beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music, and sport. And actually, we are doing a live stream about sci-fi and music, in fact. but that is later this live stream. By the way, I'm a big music lover. I listen to music. I enjoy it very well. I really like music and I collect music. And in fact, I like many genres and styles. And yeah, random, because we'll discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Random, because we will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random, also, because we'll have no guests or different guests. It depends who wants to join me in the live stream or panel. If you want to join me in live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube and we'll look what is possible. This server is called Random Entertainment Channel. Tag Doctor Who, and you'll find me very quick because I bump the server regularly. So cheers, mate. Have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. Yeah, that's my name. That's my name. So now we'll talk about the 15th Doctor story, The Devil's Chord. Let's start with general info. So, Devil's Chord was the second episode of Series 14 or Season 1 of Doctor Who, featuring the toymaker's child Maestro. It built off the events of the Giggle, with the thirst of the toymaker's legions arriving on Earth. We will now dive into the plot. So, spoiler. If you watched this story episode yet, I highly recommend you to watch this story first before you will listen further to this live stream or if you listen afterwards this video. Spoiler. So, okay, we will then dive into the plot. Let's go. So during a piano lesson, Henry Armiger asks his teacher, Timothy Drake, to play something exciting and is introduced to a melody called, quote, The Devil's Chord, end quote. Piano lid suddenly drops, but knocking is heard from inside. The maestro emerges from the lid and reveals that Henry's name is short for, quote, Harbinger, end quote, calls Timothy a genius for unlocking, quote, the last chord, end quote, and consumes the music from his soul. In the TARDIS, Ruby asks the Doctor to take her to see the Beatles record their very first album. They venture out to Abbey Road on February the 11th, 1963. Taking over a T card, they enter one of the recording studios and come across the Beatles in the midst of a recording session, but are confused at their tone deafness. They also peek into separated sessions with Cilla Black and an entire orchestra who are also all inexplicably tone deaf. In the cafeteria, after reading a headline of the Soviet Union threatening Finland, the doctor theorizes that music's sudden disappearance is leading humanity to a dark future. The Doctor and Ruby approach Paul McCartney and John Lennon respectively to ask about what happened to music. Paul and Lennon reveal that the human race has stopped caring about music since the early 20th century, and they plan on finishing the album and retiring to normal everyday lives. The boys react angrily when the Doctor and Ruby try to reassure them of music's importance. The Doctor has a piano lifted up to the studio's roof, while Ruby makes a note of mysterious dark smoke overtaking the skies. The Doctor implores Ruby to play the piano and plays a sad song she wrote for a friend. The music attracts the attention of Londoners, who emotionally react. The piano finally shifts, interrupting the playing, and the maestro emerges. The Doctor flees into a cellar and uses his screwdriver to silence the environment around them as the maestro searches. The maestro reverberates a puddle of water to return the sound. An elderly lady begins playing Claire de Lune, distracting the maestro. The Doctor suspects the maestro to be part of the toymaker's legions, the Pantheon. Ruby tries reassuring him, but the Doctor fears its powers. He takes Ruby back to 2024, where she finds London has been devastated by war in a nuclear winter. They are interrupted by the maestro, who reveals they are the child of the toymaker, and grow stronger by consuming music until they're able to steal the music of the spheres. The Doctor deduces that the maestro could be banished by a different combination of notes, but the maestro plays tunes that affect TARDIS. The Doctor immediately takes Ruby back to 1963 and recalibrates the TARDIS, but it makes a mysterious groaning sound. Returning to Abbey Road Studios, he plugs a sonic into the control booth and uses John Lennon's guitar to find the notes of banishment. The maestro uses physical music notes to kidnap Ruby, disables the sonic, and threatens to consume her music. Ruby begins singing, quote, Carol of the Bells, end quote, which confuses the maestro due to its power from deep within her soul. The Doctor uncovers the quote, Mrs. Mills piano, end quote, which he uses to fight the maestro. They engage in a music battle, the Doctor on piano, the maestro on violin. Ruby joins the Doctor on piano and the maestro breaks their violin. He discovers the notes of banishment, but plays a bum note, allowing the maestro to regain full power, flings the piano down the hallway, and traps the Doctor and Ruby in instruments. Lennon and McCartney come across the piano and play the final note, finally defeating the maestro, who before disappearing remarks to the Doctor that, quote, the one who waits is almost there, end quote. With music returned to the world, the episode ends with a musical dance number. Quote, there's always a twist at the end. End quote. And that, my friends, is the end of the story. So, I will name some cast members. The 15th Doctor is played by Nkuti Katwa. Ruby Sunday is played by Mitty Gibson. Maestro is played by Jinx Monsoon. Timothy Drake is played by Jeremy Limp. Henry Erbinger is played by Kit Rakusen. T. Trotter Lady is played by Sherin Kara Anderson. George Martin is played by Ed White. Paul McCartney is played by George Capel. And John Lennon is played by Chris Mason. George Harrison is played by Philip Davies. And Ringo Starr is played by James Hoyles. Studio producers played by Chen Shoker. Cilla Black is played by Josie Sedgwick Davies. The Tea Lady is played by Susan Twist. And Vinny is played by Simon Jason Smith. The Elderly Woman is played by Laura June Hudson. Himself is Mireille Gold, herself is Philippe Bellas, and himself is Johannes Redibe. Interesting to note that again Susan Twist has a role in this story. So as the previous story, Space Babies. So interesting. We'll do some world building. Um, 8 points. First point. Ruby uses the TARDIS jukebox for the first time. Second thing is that Ruby's mother used to have a girlfriend called Claire, was into music and favored the Beatles. Ruby loved Claire too when she was 10 years old. Third thing is that Ruby confirms she was born in 2004. Fourth thing is that Ruby wrote a song on piano to help a friend called Trudy after a girl had broken Trudy's heart. Fifth thing is that Maestro is the child of the toy maker. Very important to note. Sixth thing is that the doctor can speak Turkish. He says, quote, Hadi ama, end quote, which translates to come on in English. Seventh thing is that the existence of the mysterious group known as the Pantheon is confirmed. Sarah Jane Smith had previously faced the Pantheon of Discord. And the eighth thing is that the Doctor claims to have met Miss Mrs. Miss Mills and had some adventures, in fact. Some notes. The maestro briefly plays the theme song of, quote, Doctor Who, end quote, on the piano. And it is briefly heard on the TARDIS jukebox. The 12th Doctor could play the song on his guitar. See a link to the TV story The Magician's Apprentice. Second thing is that the Meister later also placed the section team to control the TARDIS cloister bell, the TARDIS lights. The third thing is that Ruby mentions that her family owned, quote, Revolver, end quote, and, quote, the White Album, end quote, when she was 10 years old. A fourth thing is that the music heard when the Doctor and Ruby wander through 1963 is called, quote, California Soul, end quote, by Ashford and Simpson. A fifth thing is that the Beatles first entered the recording studio in real life on Monday, February the 11th, 1963. They appeared to be recording the album Please, Please Me, and Abbey Studios indeed was not yet named as the Doctor states. Another thing is that the reason why not actual songs the Beatles were used in this episode is because it was simply too expensive. And Paul McCartney is already a millionaire, by the way. That's because of the music. So very expensive. Cilla Black was a British singer, entertainer, TV presenter, who was a friend of the Beatles and sometimes sang together. The Beatles wrote a song "Love of the Loved" for Cilla, and I know also Cilla Black with the star from "Anyone in Their Heart." It's a good song. Also sang by Diana Warwick. So yeah, do some homework. I'm a music lover. Yeah, it's Cilla Black since 60s. Also, the other thing is that the old woman plays the song, quote, Claire de Lune, end quote, on her piano. And there are a lot of things that the song that the Doctor and Ruby play on the piano is called, quote, The Life of Sunday, Ruby's Theme, end quote. It was written by Murray Gold, the famous Murray Gold. Another thing is that the Mrs. Mills piano also exists in real life. Yeah, that's right. It was used by pianist Gladys Mills. The Beatles used the piano for their songs Penny Lane and With a Little Help from My Friends. These two songs. Another thing is that the end and sequence of the Doctor and Ruby dancing on the streets of Abbey Road serves a double homage. The first is to the famous piano dance from Big, which Nakuti Gadwa and Mindy Gibson acknowledged in his episodes Unleashed. And the other is the film Singing in the Rain, all famous story film. Highly recommendable. It's a classic. Sideways, the fact that to dance in the rain was something of an accident. The scene had been reserved for the end of the day during an outdoor shoot with the intention of it taking place during sunset. And when a rainstorm mailed these plans, the production team decided to have the two characters keep their umbrellas from earlier in the song, providing a judicious means for the two to be holding umbrellas. Yeah, I like the music, the singing and dancing. And we also see that in the Church of Ruby Road. We see also that singing and dancing and music. I love that in this episode. Yes, but because of I like music very much. So it's your favorite taste or yeah flavor, whatever. I like it. Um, I do now. I know now the talk about the continuity because I already explained it. I explained it every live stream. Stories and episodes in the universe are in some to some extent related to each other, linked to each other, reference to each other. Um, Doctor Who is an yeah it's a sci-fi fantasy show. Is for the fans. It's choose your own canon. It's yeah, it's that's the strength of this series. In fact, and it is because I like Doctor Who so very much. I'm a big fan of Doctor Who because of this choose your own canon. In fact, you choose your own favorites, choose your own favorite Doctor, you do your own incarnation, your own companions, your own enemies, your own favorite stories, episodes, eras, whatever, whatever. But yeah, in, that's the whole thing I like about this show very much. That's why this reason why my most favorite sci-fi show. And again, there is some continuity. There is some connection between episodes and stories. When you're looking, I'm always looking for some connection, some context, some links, some references, uh, because it makes this series alive to regular reference to other stories and episodes, other events in the universe. So even though there is not such thing as canon in the universe, there is some way, some continuity and context to explain. So uh, next things is said about this. I can say about this. Okay, the doctor jokes people he travels with always want to go to quote the Titanic end quote Mars or Bethlehem. The doctor previously visited the Titanic. That's in TV episode Rose and Mars, the waters of Mars. And once recounted a tale to Susan and her son Alex Campbell of how Leonardo da Vinci begged to visit Bethlehem to witness the birth of Jesus Christ. We see that in a link to audio relative dimensions. Another thing is that then that 10 doctor previously implied that he was present in Bethlehem during the birth of Jesus. We see that already in the TV story, The Voyage of the Damned. The second thing is that the 11th Doctor previously took Amy Pond to London in July 1963. only to find it destroyed by a Dalek invasion. Amy had also desired to meet John Lennon while visiting. That is, in fact, a link relation to a game, and that is called City of the Daleks. Yes, yes, yes. I know someone who has played this game. In fact, I haven't played this game. In fact, I'm not so familiar with the games, but I know there's a reference to that game in this creator. So that whole thing about the 11th Doctor, the previously took Amy Pond to London in Juli 1963, only to find it destroyed by a Dalek invasion. And Amy also decided to meet John Lennon while visiting. That's a link to game. In fact, a third thing is that the Doctor and Ruby use the TARDIS wardrobe. Uh, that's linked to TV story The Unquiet Death. A fourth thing is that the Doctor confirms she had kids and will have. Oh, so Doctor confirms she had kids and will have. And that he had a granddaughter called Susan. And this is a reference to the first episode on first story on screen that is called On an Earthly Child with the first Doctor, William Hartnell, and Susan Foreman. We see that in the story, and Ian Chesterton and Barbara Wright. Yeah, these four actors. The very beginning. A fifth thing is that the Doctor mentions he and Susan lived on Tortoise Lane in Shoreditch in the year 1963. Already, there's a link. TV story on Unearthly Child. A sixth thing is that the Doctor is unaware of what became of Susan. Very important. That's very important. And there's also a relation, a link to the TV story The Dalek Invasion of Earth, where in fact the first Doctor William Hartnell says goodbye to Susan Foreman. I highly recommend you to watch this story, Dalek Invasion of Earth. And so the Doctor is unaware of what became of Susan after this story of the Dalek Invasion of Earth. It's interesting to note. Also a link to audio, the Shoreditch intervention. Um, more in the relation to this, he believes she may have been killed in a cellular explosion when the other Time Lords were murdered. That's in a link to this TV story Spyfall. That's with the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker. Okay, a second thing is that the Doctor mentions he saw Ruby perform earlier in December 2023 at King's Arms. She opened with the song, quote, One More Sleep, end quote. To see that in the Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road, the first story with 15th Doctor, Kutikotwa. Eighth thing is that the Doctor theorizes that Maestro is one of the pantheon of Discord. There's a link to TV story, The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. That's the Sarah Jane Adventures. I highly recommend you to watch this. Also, Sarah Jane Adventures. I regularly watch this Doctor Who spin-off. It's very recommendable. Sarah Jane Adventures. Sarah Jane Smith. But yeah, Elizabeth Sladen is not no longer with us. Yeah. And we talk about Doctor Who spin-offs. There's also Doctor Who spin-off Torchwood. Doctor Who spin-off Class. And there's also an Australian production, K9. The TV series. So some of the Doctor Who spin-offs. And we have also Tales of TARDIS. Okay, so again, I repeat, the Doctor theorized that Maestro is one of the pantheon of Discord. This reference to Sarah Jane, the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. Um, I talked about the pantheon of Discord. Maybe it's good to talk about what this pantheon of Discord actually is. Okay, I will try is to explain. The pantheon of Discord, also known simply as the pantheon, was a group of transcendental beings that sought to alter reality and cause chaos. For example, the trickster was an embodiment of one or more members of the pantheon. I recently watched story um, with the trickster in Sarah Jane Adventures. That is what happened to Sarah Jane Smith. And there's actually a very interesting story. And so there's also the trickster. The trickster is a transcendental being that is really busy to alter reality and cause chaos. And yeah, so the trickster was an embodiment of one of our members of the pantheon. So the Doctor had heard legends of the pantheon when he was a child and claimed to have fought the shadows and the changelings of the pantheon in the past. Clyde Langer thought the group's name would be perfect for a rock band, and the Doctor concurred. We see that in the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith in Sarah Jane Adventures. And known as speculated members include the Trickster, Krampus, the Toy Maker, and Maestro. We see that in this episode of the Devil's Chord. Um, if you want to know who is Krampus, um, being called itself Krampus was a member of the Pantheon of Discord, and he intended to change history by removing Amy, Rory, and Mels. And this member of the Pantheon found his way into reality by a time field in Letthorth. And he managed to fully enter reality by getting Veronica Stegmore, the spoiled daughter of the mayor, to take his gift for her. There he proceeded to send his servants to capture Emilia, Rory, and Mels. And when they failed, he personally captured them and took them to the library. And in order for him to fully have power, he needed Veronica's wish. And when at first she didn't want to, he persuaded her to do so by showing her an image of Amy's Petticoat brand. However, this plan was foiled when Amy told Veronica that her hands were dirty. And that she thought was her doll was in reality a lump of coal used to coax Veronica to bring him into Letthorth. She threw it back into the mirror as Krampus and his goons were forcibly dragged back into where they had originally come from. You see that in the comic imaginary enemies. So that is all about Krampus. Where was I? So in all thing, the Pantheon Discord, this is known as speculative members include the Trickster and Krampus, Toymaker, and Maestro. So already Krampus discussed. Yeah, things about the trickster. Highly recommend you to things, but I will explain in short. Trickster. The trickster was an immortal, extra-dimensional alien, formerly part of an extra-dimensional group of beings known as the Pantheon of Discord, and who were banished from the known universe. The trickster alone frequently appeared on Earth, making bargains to alter history and feeding on the resultant chaos. Alternate nation made over a weak point in space-time would allow Trickster to manifest himself as flesh and blood. Okay, that's some background about Bentin of Discord. Back to this story. The ninth point in the continuity is that the Doctor taking Ruby back to her time, which now consists of a destroyed London, in order to prove to her the world will end in 1963 unless they defeat Maestro, mirrors a similar scene with the Fourth Doctor doing a similar trick and a thing with Sarah Jane Smith in order to prove to her that the world will end in 1911 unless they defeat Sutek. You see that in the Pyramids of Mars story. A tenth thing is that Maestro plans to ultimately steal the music of the spheres. That's the music created by the universe motion. See that in the TV, actually in the TV Children of Need special, I think. Music of the spheres. Another thing is that Maestro mentions the one who waits. There's a relation, a link, a reference to the giggle, where we see the toy maker, where we see the 14th Doctor, David Tennant. Yes, the 14th Doctor. And the best thing is that a rooftop billboard can be seen that advertise Chris Waits and the Carolers. This band was previously mentioned by Susan in conversation with Ian Chessington, having had the same singer as John Smith and the Common Man. It's also a relation to the TV story on an earthly child. And this, my friends, is the story The Devil's Chord in a nutshell. Yeah. And again, we don't know how things will develop in this season 1/series 14. That's the reason I will do a revisit in the future the story when things will be more explained, and in time we will know more about the whole arc. But for now, this is good. What I know about this all, and it's good. So it's good to know discuss and explain and talk. But what you know and what I interpreted, because it is an interpretation. And yeah, again, in the future, I will revisit this story, and yeah, I think there will be more things that we will know and we will notice and that are explained. But for now, this is very good. So I hope you enjoyed this live stream/video. And before I will leave, well, end this live stream, I will do the commercials, of course. So, all sorts of fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport. And especially, a special place on this channel is the wonderful best sci-fi series, Doctor Who. Yes, Doctor Who. A random entertainment channel, because we'll discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Random, because we'll broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the podcast is. Random also, because we have no guests or different guests. Depends who wants to join me in the live stream or panel. If you want to join me in the live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube, and we will look what is possible. The Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel, tag Doctor Who. Cheers, mate, and lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. So, and then a couple of hours, uh, there's the episode, the third episode of series, third episode of series 14 or season 1 called Boo. So, uh, okay. Have a nice day. Enjoy Doctor Who and have a nice weekend. Bye bye. Bye bye.